This development begins with a very specific and, in the current climate, highly sensitive claim. Iranian state media reports that combat units from Chechnya, operating under the influence of Ramzan Kadyrov, are in a state of readiness and could be deployed if the United States escalates the situation into a ground invasion of Iran. That claim is reinforced by statements from Apti Alaudinov, who indicates that Akhmat units are on standby. Crucially, he emphasizes that any movement would depend on authorization from Vladimir Putin. At this stage, the structure of the message matters. There is no timeline, no operational detail, no defined objective, only a condition if a ground invasion occurs. This is not a declaration of action, it is a conditional signal. And in geopolitical terms, conditional signals are rarely accidental. They are used to shape perception early, before any real movement takes place. By introducing Chechen forces into the narrative, the scope of the situation subtly expands beyond a purely regional conflict. When examined from an operational standpoint, the situation remains at an early stage. There is no formal confirmation from the Kremlin, no visible large-scale troop movement, no logistical patterns that typically precede cross-border deployment. In most modern military operations, especially those involving external deployment, certain indicators tend to appear consistently. Transport activity increases. Supply chains begin to activate. Communication networks intensify. At this point, none of these indicators are clearly observable. That distinction is critical. What we are seeing is not an operation in motion, but a positioning statement. In military language, this functions as part of shaping an opponent's decision-making process. It introduces uncertainty and raises the perceived cost of escalation. This is how early-stage escalation often unfolds, not through action, but through carefully structured signals. To understand the weight of this claim, it is important to look at the actor involved. Chechen units referenced in this context are not conventional forces in the traditional sense. They have experience in modern conflict environments, particularly in urban warfare and high-pressure tactical operations. Their effectiveness is not necessarily defined by scale, but by adaptability and operational intensity. They are accustomed to unstable environments. They operate under high-stress conditions. They are often deployed in roles that require rapid, decisive action. Equally important is their political positioning. Their alignment with Russian leadership gives them a dual function, not only as a military asset, but also as a strategic signal. When their potential involvement is mentioned, it carries implications that extend beyond their immediate capabilities. It suggests the possibility, however indirect, of broader alignment. On the other side, Iran is not operating from a passive position. Over decades, it has built a defense structure designed specifically to withstand external pressure, including the possibility of confrontation with more technologically advanced military powers. A central component of that structure is the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, which plays a key role in both strategic planning and operational execution. But Iran's strength does not rely solely on formal military structures. It also includes a wide network of auxiliary forces, such as the Basij, which can be mobilized in large numbers under specific conditions. This layered approach creates a system that is not dependent on a single point of defense. Pressure in one area can trigger responses across multiple fronts. In the event of a ground invasion, the battlefield would likely not develop in a linear or predictable way. Instead, it could fragment into multiple pressure zones, increasing complexity and reducing the effectiveness of conventional approaches. The potential involvement of external actors, including Chechen units, would only add to that complexity. At this stage, the key focus is not whether the claim is fully accurate. The focus is on the pattern that is beginning to form. We are seeing conditional readiness. We are seeing strategic signaling. We are seeing a gradual increase in tension. But we are not yet seeing a final decision. This is a phase of calculation. Each actor is observing, assessing, waiting for the other side to move. In many cases, situations like this stabilize without major escalation. But under certain conditions, this phase can also become the starting point of a larger shift. Because in modern conflict dynamics, major escalation rarely appears suddenly. It emerges through a sequence of smaller signals that, when viewed together, begin to define a direction. At this moment, that direction remains open, but it is becoming more visible. Situations like this are rarely defined by a single narrative. Each side presents its version. Each statement carries intent. Each piece of information serves a purpose. That is why it is important not to rely on a single perspective. A more accurate understanding comes from observing patterns, comparing sources, and recognizing how different elements interact over time. If you find this kind of analysis valuable, focused not just on headlines, but on underlying dynamics, you can support the channel by subscribing and following future content. And as always, this analysis is based on publicly available information and evolving developments. Conditions on the ground can change rapidly, and final decisions remain in the hands of the actors directly involved.